All right. Thank you all for joining us today. I'm very excited with the topic. I'm Leigh Conver. I'm the product marketer for our data intelligence at CDK. With me, I have Sanjay Almeida, our chief product officer, and Dave Thomas, our director of content marketing. And we are going to be talking about the buzziest of the buzzwords today at NADA, which is artificial intelligence or AI, sharing some of the thoughts that we've had from dealers through our surveys and talking to dealers, and explain a lot about how CDK is implementing AI solutions to help our dealers. So thank you all for joining. I think I'm going to kick off to you, Dave. As I mentioned, it is a very hot topic. Luckily, we've done some great surveys and understand. Tell us a little bit about what we're hearing from dealers on their familiarity with AI.
Sure. We just released a really brand new study on AI at the dealership, and the two top level findings were both on how familiar dealers are with AI. And so the finding there was, we've had this year of buzz about AI and it's had an impact. Dealers are very familiar with the topic now. A year ago, the last study we did, there was still this small group of dealers, believe it or not, 6%, that said they had no familiarity with AI. That number is now zero. Every dealer has some inkling of familiarity, and about 50% said they're very, very familiar with AI. So that's just on that familiarity side. They understand it, they understand what it is in some fashion. The other big number was how many are actually using it today. And that number went from 28% last year to 39% this year. 40% jump, it's a lot. So that's where we kind of get into a little bit of confusion of what AI use is, because while 39% they're using it, that could mean they use ChatGPT to look something up, or it could mean they're using it in a real fashion at their dealership. So the people that are actually integrating AI into their technologies in the dealership, out of that group, is three quarters, 77%. So they are really using it. They're not just on ChatGPT. It's a large group.
Yeah, that is an impressive jump in usage
Yes.
from last year. It is really a testament to how much AI is making an impact. And speaking of impact, beyond familiarity, what impact are dealers seeing with the AI in their dealerships?
Yeah, so that was like the big question, right? Like, wow, we got all these people using it. What's the impact? So 69% said it had a positive impact on their business. Now, everyone's probably asking, well, 31% said it didn't have an impact. That doesn't sound like a good number. But when you think of how short a time they've been implementing AI, most of that group that are using it under a year, and a big chunk under 6 months. So they might not have even seen the impact yet. So it's still, I think that 69% positive impact is very strong.
Yeah, sounds very strong. Sanjay, you're chief product officer. How do we think at CDK with what can we do to really help with that impact to the dealer? We've heard about hybrid intelligence. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, AI is not a buzzword at CDK. We have real products, are real value that customers are having today. And so the way we want to make sure that AI is making employees productive and provide the delightful experience for their consumers. And so the way we bring it is a couple of ways. First is we have about 40 years worth of data in CDK. We have 900 million repair orders. We have 257 million consumers in our systems and 10 plus million transactions, whether they're buying the cars or they're leasing the cars. We have those transactions in our system. So we bring the wealth of data that we have, and honestly, 40 years of experience that our associates have. So we combine the experience and data and really use the latest technology to bring that experiences within our products. And that's what we call hybrid intelligence. So you have to have really this three-pronged approach. As you know that, artificial intelligence without data is just artificial, as our CEO says. So you need to have the experience, the data, and the technology really combined in a right way to bring the insights that makes employees a lot more productive. And when employees are productive, they provide the level of experience to their consumers, and the consumers are a lot more effective.
Yeah, I think that's a great point because, data is near and dear to both of our hearts, and you really need that data to start. But if you just have the data and you don't have the ability to action on it with the intelligence and the technology and the automotive expertise, it's not going to be able to actually have an impact with a dealer.
Absolutely.
So Dave, when you're talking to dealers from our survey, did we hear, do dealers kind of have an understanding of the underlying technology and what they're looking for out of
Well,
it?
to Sanjay's point, yes, they want AI that is backed by someone, a group, or a vendor like us that has that automotive background. They want AI that is based in automotive, well over a majority. So that is very key to them. And when you think of, in this hall that we're in, it's great to have, startups doing AI and things like that. But even when you think of the word startup, that means they're starting from nothing, right? So if you want that automotive background basing your AI, establishing your AI, you do need someone with that data. And that's what the dealers are looking for.
I remember from the study that there was obviously the highest number, I think, was they needed the data, but they also had about 47% of them are saying we need that automotive expertise. But really, the third leg that comes across talking to the dealers is now that you have that, embedding it directly within the workflows that you already use today, which is
Oh,
super
yes.
helpful.
Yeah, so it needs to be integrated into their systems, 100%. But yes, that is what they're exactly looking for, and they're doing it, not necessarily to have that new AI. They're really focused on helping their employees, and they know that if they have a device, something like artificial intelligence, some kind of technology that makes their staff's lives easier, that's really what they're focused on. And so they'll do the training to help them do that. So they're not spending too much time focused on a task that AI could replicate.
Got it. Yeah, and I think that comes up. You had talked about a three-legged approach where I think it really matches CDK's strategy to what the dealers are looking for. The data, the expertise, and the embedded. Can you talk a little bit more about CDK's strategy with those three areas?
Yeah, absolutely. So our strategy is to have AI built into the product. It's built in, it's not bolt on. And that makes a huge difference for employee productivity perspective, right? So it's not a swivel chair like you're working here and then you go somewhere else to look at your AI. That's just not the right experience and improve the productivity. So I'll give you a couple of examples. In our modern retail product suite, we have taken all the data and embedded into modern retail suite. One example I would say is my day. So as I come into work, if you log into our system, it will tell you exactly what you need to do for the day. So how many appointments you have, what customers that you're gonna meet, where they are in the car buying journey. All that information is at your fingertip. You just see that. And within that dashboard, you can take actions. You can send text right there to particular consumer that you're going to meet. If there is a no-show, you can change the order. And so you have that information right there. The other example, the customers here sitting in front of me, and there's been a lot of text and voice and email for last several days. And what we do, we take all of that and we create a summary for the consumer. So in just few sentences, I know exactly the interactions we had together, and that way I can spend more time talking with you versus going through all this long list of conversation. That's just a one example of how we are improving the productivity of the sales agent and making sales agent available to consumers to address their needs. That's in modern retail.
I think that's a great example. I just want to do it because I think there's a lot of talk of AI replacing, how is it going to AI? And I think that's a great example of not necessarily replacing, but it's able to do some of the behind the scenes work to free up the dealership employees to be more productive and actually engage directly with the customers, maybe more than they were in the past.
Exactly.
And I think in our survey too, did we get any results on are dealers looking for, what are they looking for? Is it sales, service? Where are they
Yeah,
really looking to apply the AI?
there are some really interesting findings on where in the dealership AI is being implemented. So the majority, 48%, are implementing it in the front office. They're focused on sales. a lot on communications as well, and only 25% on the service side. And we know how much it can help on the service side from the scheduling, virtual chat agents, those things. But when you think of that front office side, where the focus really is right now, think of areas like it wasn't the first or second or third, but fourth, and it was still a high number. Think it can help in BDC. And whenever I think of all the things Sanjay just mentioned, boy, that BDC could really be helped. And there's a little bit of discussion in the industry about will AI reduce the headcount in that area? But we're seeing dealer staff up everywhere over the past year, and they're still staffing up in BDC as well. So AI could help that team, and especially leads are gold, and that's where it's going to really do a lot for them.
Great. Yeah. And it sounds like the AI you talked already about in the modern retail suite would help there. I know we also have a virtual assistant that we use within the modern retail suite. Can you talk a little bit more about how that operates and how that helps dealers?
Yeah. So look again, the virtual assistant is kind of the another agent that's assisting the consumers behind the scene. It's 24/7. Consumer can ask questions, you get the answers, and when you come to store, all the preparation is all done for the sales agent. So think about it as another virtual agent over there from the modern retail perspective. We have something similar for the fixed operation side. So there is a virtual agent. You can schedule the appointment. You can change the appointments. And again, what we see, the data is when people call and you drop the call for some reasons or whatever, we know exactly who called and when, so that agents can call back and get on with the scheduling. So there's a lot of AI that's happening behind the scene to ultimately really make the sales or service agent productive and provide the experience that they want for their consumers.
Yeah, I've been talking a lot about Ava, our artificial intelligence virtual assistant with dealers, and a lot of the conversations are around the augmentation. For example, on the Ava for fixed ops, when dealers said, I've got someone that's able to answer the phone, we're always there, we know we're good, but they're not answering the phone at 2 a.m. in the morning. And so what you can do with a virtual assistant, which you couldn't do with a human, is really have the ability to always be on and always engaging, which I think is a key component that the dealers are looking for.
Yeah, one example I give about Ava, like you have CFOs and controllers and dealer principals and some of the executives. They want information right now, right? They don't have time to run the reports. They just have a questions and say like, how many cars Leanne sold yesterday, and what's the profitability look like today? And so those things, those type of questions, in the past, it would take someone to create a report or go to the, any analytics tool and do that, and that would take hours. And today, like within CDK products, it's in seconds. You can type those questions, you can ask those questions, and you get the answers right away. And that's the power of like data and the technology. We use large language model to make sure that the data is very accurate and formatted. And it not only tells you the answers, it can give you the charts, and you can look at those charts. So that's much more powerful. Like that, these innovation didn't exist a year ago.
Yeah, those are great examples. I've been showing the Ava for DXP to dealers today at the show, and it's really impressive because I think it's a great way for that one specifically. Those exec levels that maybe not down in the weeds, I think they're used to calling up someone. Sometimes I get that call, where are we on this data? And now using AI, they can get it themselves directly. Once again, any time of the day, at night, anywhere. So it's a great example of AI.
One other example, if I may, like it's not just within the product, but Ava is within our customer care as well. So when dealers call us, they have another way to interact with CDK 24/7, ask questions, get the answers. And if they want to talk to live agent, the Ava will hand over to the live agent. So it's across CDK platform, across CDK, we have Ava inbuilt, and it knows everything about that particular consumer or agent or the customer.
Yeah, that's great. And I think you started off by saying it's not a buzzword, it's reality. And I think you've given a ton of great examples of how it really is reality, solving dealers' problems today within the CDK platform. So really appreciate the time you spent to tell us what to go through. Dave, thank you as always for the
Sure.
insights. Always good to know a dealer pulse, what they're thinking AI. So thank you both for joining us.
Thank you,
Thank
Leanne.
you.